Good morning, everyone, and happy Thursday. Today is Thursday, October 8th, and we are back here again for our next read aloud of the week. As you see here, I have Tuesday's read aloud in the background here, and then I also have our compare and contrast cards. So remember, if you listen to our story on Tuesday, I said that the skill this week and the strategy we're going to be using is compare and contrast. So when we compare, we talk about things that are the same. When we contrast, we talk about things that are different. So in Tuesday's story, we talked about grandfather counts. And we talked about how grandfather and Helen are the same. We compared them, and we also talked about how they are different, and we contrasted them. I also told you that the culture of this story was different than our American culture. And the culture that we talked about in this story was Chinese. In today's story, which, if you remember, I showed you on Tuesday, today's story is a different culture, and that culture is the Spanish culture. And today's story is called Mango, Abuela, and Me. So not only do I want you to be thinking about comparing and contrasting our characters, but also how we would compare and contrast the two different cultures we see in these stories. How are they alike and how are they different? And also, as I'm reading, don't forget to listen for those 5 W's. Who is in the story? What is happening in the story? Where does the story take place? When does the story take place? And why did the things happen in the way that they happened? And also, I want you to see if you can learn a lesson from this story. But our big focus is on compare and contrast. Also, if you remember from our virtual meet last week, we talked about adjectives. And an adjective is a word that describes a noun. All right, so one adjective I could use to describe this bird would be yellow. Okay, I could also use a word to describe this bird as maybe parrot, the type of bird that he is. Okay, so adjectives describe a noun, and that's going to be important for your writing assignment that you're going to have to do at the end of this story. So remember, as I'm reading, I want you to be listening for adjectives in the story, as well as how we can compare and contrast the characters and also the cultures from this story, our Spanish culture, and this story, our Chinese culture. All right, here we go. Mango, Abuela, and Me. She comes to us in winter, leaving behind her sunny house that rested between 2 snaking rivers. Her old place was too much for just one, Mommy tells me, as we make room in my dresser for her clothes. And too far away for us to help, Poppy adds. Abuela belongs with us now, Mia. But I still feel shy when I meet this far away grandmother. All right. So I have a few things on this post-it that I want to share with you guys. So if you remember, I said this is a different culture, which means some of the language might be a little bit different. So in our cover, in our title, we see the word abuela. And abuela, if you don't know, means grandmother in Spanish. Then we also have mommy, M-A-M-I is how it's spelled, and that just means mother. And then we have papi, which means father. Okay, and Mia is the girl. So we've got mommy, which is Mia's mother, and we've got papi, which is Mia's father, and we've got abuela, which is Mia's grandmother. All right, so let's look at Abuela's house before she came to live with Mia. All right, so this is before she came to live with Mia. And now she's here with Mia and her mommy and papi. Ping, pan, poom. Poppy unfolds Abuela's bed and slides it right next to mine. You will get to know each other, he says. But when I show Abuela my new book, she can't unlock the English words. We can only look at the pictures and watch Edmund race on his wheel. Then, just before we turn out the light, she pulls out two things tucked inside the satin pocket of her suitcase. So here's Edmund on his wheel. Here's Mia and her abuela. Says she can't unlock the English words. I wonder how that is similar. How can we compare that to our Grandfather Counts story? A feather, una pluma, from a wild parrot that roosted in her mango trees, and a snapshot, una fotografía, of a young man with Poppy's smile. Tu abuelo, she says, climbing into bed. Snuggled in my pajamas, I smell flowers in her hair, sugar and cinnamon baked into her skin. That night, I dream of a red bird circling in the sky. All right, so we've got some more Spanish words here. Tu abuelo means your grandfather. What are you wondering here? She's pulled these out of her suitcase. What are you wondering? We've got Mia, we've got una pluma, which is the feather, and we've got una fotografía of her grandfather, held by Abuela. The rest of the winter, while Mommy and Poppy are at work, Abuela waits for me to get home from school. Then we bundle up in thick socks and handmade sweaters to walk to the park and toss bread to the sparrows. My Espanol is not good enough to tell her the things an abuela should know, like how I am the very best in art and how I can run as fast as the boys. Okay, we see another question here. How might abuela feel about the cold weather? I want you to go back at that very first page and take a look at her house, where she came from. What do you think the weather was like there? And then I want you to compare it and contrast it to the weather here, where she is now. And her English is too poquito to tell me all the stories I want to know about Abuelo and the rivers that ran right outside their door. With our mouths as empty as our bread baskets, we walk back home and watch TV. So we've got Abuela and Mia. Here we've got a question. What do you think poquito means? Let me reread that first sentence. And her English is too poquito to tell me all the stories I want to know about Abuelo and the rivers that ran right outside their door. I wonder what poquito means. Maybe if I do this. Her English is too poquito. See if you can figure out what that Spanish word means. Abuela and I can't understand each other, I whisper to Mommy. Things will get better, Mommy says. Remember how it was with Kim? Kim is my best friend at school. When she was new, our whole class helped teach her English words. Now Miss Wilson sometimes has to say, "Please be quiet, girls. Others are working." All right, our question here. How does thinking about Kim help Mia know what to do with Abuela? So let's think here. How are Kim and Abuela similar, and how are Kim and Abuela different? If you need to go back and listen to that page again, you may. After school the next day, while Abuela and I are making meat pies for our snacks, I pretend I am Miss Wilson. Dough, I say, pointing to the ball. Abuela says, dough, masa, and rolls it flat. Masa, I say. She drops a spoonful of meat in place. Carne. Carne, I say. Meat. Pasas. Raisins. Aceite. Oil. I want you to take a second and pause here. How is this part of the story similar to Grandfather Counts? I'm seeing a lot of things that are similar. Then I remember the word cards we taped in our classroom to help Kim. So while Abuela fries our empanadas, I put up word cards too until everything is covered, even Edmund. Soon we are playing Oi Ed, hear and say, all around the house. But that night, she still calls my pillow Apollo, and she says Edmund is a gangster. We'll keep practicing, I whisper. So we see all of the word cards. You could also call these labels. Okay, let me see if I can bring it down. So we could also call these labels. We've got frame, shade, blanket, pillow, sweater, shirt. Down here we've got rug, table, lamp, petals, flowers, vase, cup, and phone. Okay, so she is labeling things with English words to help her abuela learn the English words. But the next day, I cannot practice with Abuela after all. Edmund has run out of his favorite seeds, so Mommy and I have to ride the bus downtown to buy more. Sometimes there are kittens sleeping in the pet shop window, but when we arrive this time, something even better is behind the glass. Ooh, I wonder what it is. Look, I say. The window has become a jungle filled with birds, and right in the middle is a parrot staring at us with black bean eyes. Ooh, good adjective there. Black bean eyes. Adjective to describe eyes. I press my nose to the glass, thinking of the red feather Abuela gave me. Another good adjective, red to describe feather. Let's buy him, I tell Mommy. But Mia, you already have Edmund, Mommy says. Oh, not for me, I say. For Abuela, like the parrot that lived in her mango trees. He can keep her company when I'm at school. All right, so we've got this parrot that Mia is just begging her mother to buy for her Abuela. So, who do you think Mango is? Why do you think that might be his name? When we bring him home to Abuela, she says, un loro, a parrot. We name him Mango because his wings are green, orange, and gold like the fruit. During the day, Abuela teaches him how to give beaky kisses and to bob his head when she sings Los Pollitos to him. Buenas tardes, Mango, Abuela says, opening his cage door when I get home from school. Good afternoon, I say, and give him a seed. Soon Mango calls to me even before we open his cage. Buenas tardes, he says when I open the door. Good afternoon. So notice how Abuela is looking now in the illustration. What do you think she might do? She's got this new parrot named Mango that she's going to be spending a lot of time with while Mia's at school. I wonder what she might do with the parrot. Abuela, Mango, and I practice new words every day. Mi Español gets faster, and Abuela and Mango learn the days of the week, all the months of the year, and the names of coins. How did he learn all that? Poppy asks when he shows him all that Mango can do. Abuela winks at me and gives Mango a piece of banana peel, and all. Practice, she says. Before long, Abuela asks me how to say harder things too, so she can talk with the neighbors who stop by. Has the mailman come? It is chilly today. Can I get you some cookies and lemonade? Soon, when friends stop by to see Mango's latest tricks, they can understand everything Abuela says. But best of all, now, when Abuela and I are lying next to each other in our beds, our mouths are full of things to say. I tell her about my buen dia and show her my best pintura of Mango. Abuela reads my favorite book with only a little help, and she tells me new stories about Abuelo, who could dive for river stones with a single breath and weave a roof out of palms. I draw pictures for her. She still misses their old house, she says, but now only a little bit. All right, so let's look up here. So what has changed for Abuela? And what has changed for Mia? This is another good time to compare and contrast. What has changed for Mia that is similar to what has changed for Abuela? And what has changed for Mia that is different than what has changed for Abuela? Mango listens to us from his perch until my eyes grow heavy. Hasta mañana, Abuela, I say. Abuela kisses me. Good night, Mia. Hasta mañana. Good night, Mango calls. And soon we all fall asleep. The end. And we have a nice little picture of Mango on the back. All right. So thinking back, before I give you all your writing assignment, to our words that we are practicing this week, we are practicing how to compare and contrast. Remember, we are comparing, talking about things that are the same between our characters, between our stories, and between our cultures. Okay, so we talked about comparing our characters, comparing our stories, and now we're going to talk about comparing the culture, the Chinese culture and the Spanish culture, how they are the same. Then we are going to contrast, talk about how they are different, talk about how our characters are different, talk about how our stories are different, and how the Chinese culture and the Spanish culture are different. All right, so make sure you're thinking about compare and contrast as you do your writing assignment today. Now, you will find in your folder today's writing assignment. It has Thursday, 10/8 at the top. Put my cards over here. All right. So you are going to draw what you think Mango looks like and color it. Now, it told you why his name was Mango. So I expect that when you color your picture, you color it how it was described in the story, because there's a reason that his name was Mango. All right, so you're going to draw what you think Mango looks like and color it here in the box. Then you're going to write 5 adjectives to describe Mango. Now, if you were listening at the beginning, I gave you 2 already. Okay, so you need to just list, and that means just write the words. Now, remember, an adjective is just one word to describe Mango. Okay, so if you need to go back in the story and look at Mango and listen to the things that he says and the things that he does in order to describe him, that's fine. So you are going to come up with 5 adjectives. If you come up with more, that's okay, but you need at least 5. You're going to write those adjectives, 1 on each line. Then it says using the 5 adjectives, write 2 or more sentences describing Mango. So you can't do this part until you do this part, and you can't do this part until you do your picture. All right, so you're going to start with your illustration. You're going to draw Mango and color him. Then you're going to write 5 adjectives to describe him, and then use those adjectives to come up with 2 sentences to describe Mango. Now remember, when you're writing your sentences, every sentence starts with a capital letter. It has finger spaces. You use your nice, neat handwriting. and it ends with punctuation, which is usually a period. All right, so this is your assignment for today, your writing assignment for today. Like I said, you can go back and re-watch the video, re-listen to the story if you need to, but you are thinking about comparing and contrasting, but your assignment has to do with adjectives, so describing mango. All right, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Work hard, and I will see you guys next week for our next 2 read alouds. Have a great weekend.